In They hunt apex predators for fun, but laid down their weapons for a human girl. The pivotal moment erupts when Dr. Reyes reveals humanity's true power, not our weapons, but our capacity for moral choice. Commander Zexlar, confronted with a species that consciously limits its predatory dominance for ethical reasons, ceremoniously disarms himself, recognizing that true evolutionary supremacy lies in knowing when not to kill. Commander Zexlar's multifaceted eyes reflected the gleaming array of trophies suspended in the central hall of the Voluak orbital station. Each specimen, preserved with meticulous care, told a story of conquest, of superiority, of the Guild's unwavering dedication to proving themselves the ultimate predators in a galaxy teeming with deadly life. Magnificent, aren't they? The voice belonged to Elder Krelvox, his chitinous exoskeleton showing the characteristic scarring of one who had survived hundreds of hunts. Each represents the pinnacle of evolutionary weaponry on their respective worlds. Zexlar inclined his head respectfully, 4 of his 6 limbs folded in the traditional posture of deference. Indeed, Elder, the Guild's collection grows more impressive with each cycle. And yet, Krelvox's mandibles clicked softly, a sign of dissatisfaction. We find ourselves at a crossroads. Commander, the Council grows concerned that we have exhausted the truly worthy challenges in our charted territories. Zexlar moved closer to examine a particularly fearsome specimen, the preserved form of a chrysalid razorwing from the oceanic depths of Alteris Prime. Its serrated appendages still gleamed, capable even in death of slicing through durasteel. Surely there remain unexplored sectors. Always, Krelvox acknowledged, leading Zexlar away from the public displays toward the private council chambers. But we seek something different, a true test of the Guild's philosophy. The council chamber doors parted, revealing the 7 elder members arranged in their traditional heptagon formation. Zexlar assumed the position of presentation, 4 limbs splayed to represent openness to wisdom, 2 held high in readiness for action. Elder Milthrax, her carapace bearing the gold-flecked pattern of the founding lineage, spoke first. Commander Zexlar, your hunting record stands unmatched among active Guild members. 17 apex predators from 17 distinct biospheres. I serve the Guild's purpose, Zexlar responded, his voice modulator pitched to convey appropriate humility, while his pheromone glands released the subtle scent of pride. The balance was crucial in Voluak society: confidence without arrogance, accomplishment without boasting. Which is precisely why you have been selected for this unprecedented expedition, Elder Vexura continued, her sensory tendrils quivering with what Zexlar interpreted as excitement. Unusual for one so venerable. Krelvox gestured toward the central holoprojector. We have received intelligence about a world designated Earth by its indigenous dominant species, a blue world, rich in biodiversity, with a complex ecosystem of predator-prey relationships. The hologram materialized, showing a lush, blue-green sphere suspended in space. Data streams scrolled alongside it. Atmospheric composition, gravitational parameters, axial tilt. Another hunting ground, Zexlar inquired, already calculating potential trophy specimens based on the planetary characteristics. More than that, Elder Milthrax replied. A philosophical puzzle that challenges the very foundation of Guild doctrine. Now Zexlar's interest was truly piqued. The Guild's doctrine was straightforward. True dominance in any ecosystem belonged to the species with the most effective natural weapons. The Guild's purpose was to test themselves against such species, proving that Voluak engineering and tactics could overcome even the most fearsome evolutionary advantages. The dominant species of this world, Krelvox continued, manipulating the controls to zoom the hologram to a bipedal figure, appears to possess no natural weapons whatsoever. Zexlar studied the holographic representation with all 4 of his primary visual organs. The creature was unimpressive, bipedal, with only two manipulative appendages, no visible armor, no claws, fangs, venom sacs, or sensory enhancements, soft-skinned, with sparse fur concentrated oddly on the cranial region. "This cannot be an apex species," Zexlar stated flatly. "It must be prey for something more formidable." "That was our assumption," Elder Vixura acknowledged. "Yet our preliminary scans and probe data suggest otherwise. These bipeds, they call themselves humans, have no natural predators. In fact, they appear to have systematically eliminated or controlled any species that might threaten them." "Without natural weapons?" Zexlar's confusion manifested in the violet rippling of his adaptive skin coloration. "How is this possible?" "That," Elder Milthrak said with a decisive click of her mandibles, "is what you will determine, Commander. You will assemble a hunting party, journey to this Earth, and assess whether these weaponless creatures truly deserve classification as apex predators. If so, you will secure a specimen for the Guild's collection." Zexlar felt the weight of responsibility settle across his neural network. This was no ordinary hunt. It was a test of Guild doctrine itself. If a species without natural weapons could achieve apex status, what did that imply about the Voluak philosophy of biological supremacy? "I understand the significance of this mission," Zexlar responded, straightening to his full height. "I will select only the most skilled Guild members to accompany me." "Excellent," Krelvox approved. "Your vessel has been prepared with the latest adaptive camouflage technology. Earth appears to lack interstellar communication capabilities, so stealth is paramount. We cannot risk a diplomatic incident with a potentially valuable research subject." As the council session concluded, Zexlar's mind was already processing the strategic implications. A bipedal species without natural weapons that somehow dominated its ecosystem. It defied everything the Guild had observed across hundreds of worlds. Either the preliminary data was flawed, or this Earth would force the Guild to reconsider its most fundamental beliefs about predator superiority. Zexlar intended to discover which was true. The preparation bay hummed with activity as Zexlar's selected team readied their equipment. Each member had been chosen for specific expertise that would complement the unusual nature of this expedition. "Vilzor," Zexlar addressed the tech specialist whose neural augmentations pulsed visibly beneath his translucent cranial dome. "Have you analyzed the atmospheric composition data? Will our standard respiratory filters suffice?" Vilzor's manipulator appendages danced across the holographic interface. "Nitrogen-oxygen mix. Commander, higher oxygen percentage than our homeworld, but well within tolerable parameters. Standard filters will function at 97% efficiency." "Good." Zexlar turned to the slender, graceful form of Castia, the Guild's premier tracker. Her evolutionary lineage differed from most Voluak, where others had developed hardened exoskeletons. Her ancestors had optimized for sensory acuity and swift movement. "What challenges do you anticipate in tracking these humans?" Castia's multifaceted eyes shifted through several spectral ranges before she responded. "The preliminary data suggests they primarily rely on visual and auditory senses, both inferior to our capabilities. They appear to lack awareness of pheromone trails and bioelectric signatures. Tracking them should be elementary. The true challenge will be understanding how such limited sensory capacity could evolve in an apex species." "Perhaps they compensate through social structures," offered Kasdan, the tactician whose body bore the ceremonial scars of 30 successful hunt strategies. His voice emerged as a modulated hum from specialized vibration organs. "Many prey species achieve limited success through collective defense mechanisms." Zexlar considered this as he inspected his personal arsenal, a collection of capture devices designed to immobilize rather than kill. Guild protocol required live specimens whenever possible, particularly for first contact with a new species. "The Council seems convinced these humans have achieved more than mere survival." Zexlar noted. They speak of dominance, systematic control of potential predators. This suggests intelligence beyond basic social cooperation. Intelligence without physical supremacy. Vilzor's neural patterns flickered skeptically. An evolutionary dead end, without the means to enforce their will upon other species. How could they achieve apex status? That, Zexlar reminded them all, is precisely what we are being sent to determine. A soft, alert tone indicated the approach of the final team member. The doors parted to admit Mineria, the guild's xenobiologist. Her carapace bore the distinctive green-gold pattern of the science caste, marking her as separate from the hunters, yet essential to their mission. "Commander," she greeted Zexlar, her manipulators cradling a complex device. "I've completed the final calibrations on the translation matrix. It should be capable of deciphering this species' communication methods within approximately 12 standard time units of exposure. Assuming they communicate in ways we can perceive," Castia interjected. "The probe data suggests multiple audio-based languages," Mineria responded, unperturbed. "Primitive but functional. Their digital communications networks are surprisingly extensive for a pre-FTL civilization." Zexlar absorbed this information, feeling his excitement build. Every successful hunt began with thorough preparation. But this mission offered something beyond the usual challenge of tracking and capturing dangerous prey. This was a puzzle, a philosophical conundrum with implications for guild doctrine. "We depart in 3 time units," he announced to his team. "Final equipment checks and neural sync procedures should be completed before then. Remember, we observe before we engage. If these humans truly are apex predators, despite their apparent physical limitations, we must understand how before we attempt capture." As his team dispersed to their final preparations, Zexlar found himself drawn back to the holographic representation of the human form. Such a fragile-looking creature. No protective exoskeleton, no redundant organ systems, no specialized predatory adaptations visible. Yet, according to the probe data, these were the dominant life forms on a world teeming with more obviously dangerous species. Massive toothed marine predators, powerful land quadrupeds with impressive killing capacity, venomous reptiles and arthropods, all seemingly controlled or avoided by these soft, bipedal beings. Either the guild's understanding of predator evolution was fundamentally flawed, or there was something about these humans that the preliminary scans had failed to capture. Zexlar intended to be the one who solved this mystery. His name would be recorded in guild archives as either the hunter who proved doctrine by capturing the most unusual apex predator yet discovered, or as the visionary who forced the guild to expand its understanding of what constituted true dominance in an ecosystem. Either outcome would cement his legacy. The hunt, as always, would reveal the truth. The descent through Earth's atmosphere was smooth. The guild vessel's adaptive hull compensating for the friction and turbulence. Zexlar observed the changing landscape through the view screen. Vast blue oceans giving way to complex continental formations, covered in varying shades of green, brown, and white. "Fascinating biodiversity readings," Mineria murmured, her sensory appendages quivering with scientific excitement. Millions of distinct species, complex interdependent ecosystems spanning multiple climate zones. "Landing zone selected," Vilzor announced. "Remote, minimal evidence of the target species' presence, but within observation range of one of their smaller settlement clusters." The vessel touched down in a densely forested region, its adaptive camouflage immediately sampling and replicating the surrounding vegetation patterns. To any observer, human or otherwise, it would appear as nothing more than an unusually symmetrical rock formation, partially covered with local flora. "Atmospheric conditions confirmed safe," Vilzor reported after the external sensors completed their analysis. "Local solar radiation levels within acceptable parameters for our protective coverings." Zexlar activated the team's neural sync, establishing the hunter's bond that would allow instantaneous communication during the expedition. Deploy perimeter sensors. Standard formation. Castia takes point. Kasdan rearguard. Full sensory recording protocols active. They emerged from the vessel, into the dappled sunlight of the forest. Immediately, Zexlar's sensory organs were overwhelmed with input. The complex sense of unfamiliar vegetation, the sounds of small creatures scurrying through undergrowth, the feel of this world's particular gravitational pull, slightly lighter than the Vuluak homeworld. Preliminary lifeform catalog initiating, Mineria announced, her specialized equipment already sampling and analyzing the surrounding environment. Predominant large vertebrate species in this region include Ursus arctos, Puma concolor, Canis lupus. Potential predators, Zexlar inquired, his tactical mind automatically categorizing threats. Affirmative, Mineria confirmed. The ursine species particularly shows significant physical capabilities. Powerful musculature, claws, enhanced olfactory senses. Yet, according to probe data, it poses no systematic threat to the human population. Castia had moved ahead, her slender form nearly invisible among the trees as her adaptive camouflage synchronized with the surroundings. Commander, her voice came through the neural link. I've located signs of the target species. Primitive trail formation, approximately 7 local solar cycles old. Direction, Zexlar prompted. Leading toward elevated terrain. The path shows intentional modification. Cut vegetation, placed stone formations. A hunting trail, Kasdan suggested. Or a territorial boundary marker, Vilzor countered. Zexlar considered the options. We follow. Maintain maximum stealth protocols. Remember, we are here to observe and understand before we consider capture. The team moved through the forest with practiced efficiency, their 6-limbed forms adapting easily to the uneven terrain. Hours passed as they followed the human trail, which gradually became more defined, clearly a route frequently traveled by the bipedal species. Signs of tool use, Castia reported, indicating a fallen tree that had been cleanly severed. Cutting implement, significant precision. Mineria examined the cut surface. Not a natural biological capability. Confirms use of external implements to compensate for lack of natural weapons. Many species use simple tools, Kasdan noted. This alone does not indicate apex status. They continued until Castia froze suddenly, her sensory tendrils rigid with alert status. Large heat signature approaching, moving patterns inconsistent with any cataloged predator species. Defensive positions, Zexlar commanded instantly. The team dispersed, their adaptive camouflage rendering them nearly invisible among the trees and undergrowth. Through the neural link, they all witnessed Castia's sensory feed, a bipedal figure moving along the trail, a human, female, according to the morphological references in their database, clothed in artificial coverings of muted colors, carrying what appeared to be tools and sustenance. Observe only, Zexlar reminded the team. No engagement. The human moved with surprising grace for such a seemingly ungainly form. Despite their superior camouflage technology, Zexlar noted how the human's eyes scanned the forest around her with methodical attention. Not the nervous vigilance of prey, but the confident assessment of a creature accustomed to awareness of its surroundings. She paused precisely where Castia had examined the cut tree, her head tilting slightly as she crouched to examine something on the ground. She's detected our passage, Castia realized with professional admiration. Despite our stealth protocols, the human straightened, looking directly toward Castia's position. Then, to the collective shock of the hunting party, she spoke. I know you're there, she said in a clear, calm voice. You might as well come out. Your camouflage is impressive, but you're leaving compression patterns in the moss. The neural link buzzed with rapid communication among the team. Impossible, from Vilzor. Our weight distribution system should prevent any detectable ground pressure. Calibrated for our world's vegetation, Mineria corrected. Not for Earth biology. A basic observational error, Kasdan acknowledged, his tactical mind already recalculating their approach. Zexlar made his decision. I will engage directly. Maintain positions, but be prepared to intervene if necessary. With practice control, Zexlar deactivated his adaptive camouflage, allowing his true form to become visible to the human. He emerged from concealment, all 6 limbs in neutral position, a non-threatening posture by Voluak standards, though he had no idea how it might be interpreted by this alien species. To her credit, the human showed remarkable composure. Her eyes widened briefly. Her respiratory rate increased marginally, but she maintained her position without fleeing or displaying overt fear responses. Hello, she said after a moment of mutual observation. I'm Dr. Eleanor Reyes, field biologist, and you're definitely not from around here. The translation matrix processed her speech patterns, providing Zexlar with comprehensible meaning through his neural implant. I am Commander Zexlar of the Voluak Hunting Guild, he responded, allowing the matrix to convert his vibrational communication into audible human speech. We have come to study your species. The human, Dr. Reyes, nodded slowly. Study. Not meet or contact, but study. And you're from a hunting guild. She shifted the pack she carried to a more comfortable position. I'm going to go out on a limb and guess you're not here for a cultural exchange program. Zexlar found himself uncertain how to proceed. Guild protocol had extensive procedures for capturing hostile species, evasive species, even sapient species under specific diplomatic circumstances. But there was no protocol for a potential prey species initiating contact with such apparent nonchalance. Your species presents a biological paradox, he stated finally. You appear to lack natural predatory adaptations, yet preliminary data suggests you have achieved apex status in your planetary ecosystem. Dr. Reyes' facial features arranged themselves in what the database identified as an expression of amusement. So you've come to figure out how the hairless apes took over the planet without proper claws and fangs. That's actually pretty fascinating. She gestured to the surrounding forest. Your friends can come out too. I'm not armed. Well, not with anything that would concern beings with your level of technology. The casual acknowledgement of his concealed team members further disrupted Zexlar's planned approach. This human was not behaving like prey, nor like a threatened territorial predator. Her behavior pattern resembled something closer to professional curiosity. You are not afraid, he observed. Oh, I'm appropriately concerned, she corrected, her voice remaining steady. But I'm a scientist. When presented with something unprecedented, my first instinct is to understand it, not run from it. After a moment's consideration, Zexlar signaled the rest of the team to reveal themselves, one by one. They deactivated their camouflage and emerged from their positions. Dr. Reyes took in the sight of the full hunting party. Her expression, now registering what the database suggested, was impressed. Fascinating morphology, she murmured, eyes lingering on their multiple limbs and exoskeletal structures. Convergent evolution tends towards similar solutions across different planetary environments, but you've clearly followed a different evolutionary path than Earth's arthropods. Mineria stepped forward, her science-cast markings prominent. You recognize us as arthropodal analogs? The exoskeleton is a giveaway, Dr. Reyes replied. Though your scale and apparent intelligence suggest you've overcome the square-cube law limitations that restrict terrestrial arthropods to relatively small sizes. The exchange of technical observations seemed to establish a tentative rapport. Zexlar decided to redirect toward the mission objective. We seek to understand how your species has achieved dominance without natural weapons, he stated. Our guild's doctrine holds that true apex predators possess superior biological armaments. Dr. Reyes considered this. And you're finding that Earth doesn't fit your model. She adjusted the covering on her head, what appeared to be a protective device against solar radiation. Tell you what, I was heading to my research station. Why don't you come along? I think I can help explain humanity's unusual evolutionary path. The team exchanged rapid neural communications, evaluating the risk versus potential knowledge gain. It could be a trap, Kasdan cautioned. What could one unarmed human possibly do against our technology? Vilzor countered. Besides, Mineria added, this represents an unprecedented opportunity for direct cultural exchange. Zexlar made his decision. We will accompany you, Dr. Reyes, but know that we are monitoring for any deception. The human's face displayed another expression. The database suggested wry amusement. Fair enough. And I'll try not to be offended by the fact that you came here planning to hunt members of my species. As they began to follow Dr. Reyes along the trail, Zexlar found himself increasingly intrigued by this unexpected turn of events. The human moved with confidence through her environment, occasionally pointing out features of interest, plant species with medicinal properties, evidence of wildlife activity, geological formations. You are a researcher of this ecosystem? Zexlar inquired as they walked. Yes, she confirmed. I study predator-prey relationships, particularly in this preserve. She paused, seeming to reconsider her words. In this region, my current project involves monitoring wolfpack behaviors and their impact on ungulate populations. Wolves, Mineria recalled from their species catalog. Canis lupus, pack hunters with significant bite force and social coordination. Exactly, Dr. Reyes nodded. They're fascinating predators, not the strongest individually, but their social structure and hunting strategies make them incredibly effective. Yet they do not prey on humans, Zexlar observed. Not typically. No. The human slowed her pace to navigate a steep section of trail. There are occasional incidents, but nothing that would classify wolves as a systematic threat to human populations. Because you have eliminated them as competitors? Kasdan asked, his tactical mind seeking confirmation of aggressive species management. Dr. Reyes stopped walking and turned to face them fully. That's an interesting assumption. Actually, in many regions, including this one, we've worked to restore wolf populations after nearly eliminating them. Her expression became more serious. Which brings us to the first lesson about humans as apex predators. We don't just kill competitors. Sometimes we choose to preserve them instead. The concept was alien to Voluak thinking. In their evolutionary history and cultural development, competing predator species were eliminated when possible. The idea of deliberately preserving or restoring a potential competitor seemed counterintuitive. Why would an apex species choose to strengthen potential rivals? Zexlar asked, genuinely puzzled. Because true apex status isn't just about killing capacity, Dr. Reyes explained. It's about ecosystem management. Wolves regulate deer populations, which prevents overgrazing, which maintains forest health, which ultimately benefits humans. She gestured to the lush surroundings. We've learned, sometimes the hard way, that being the dominant species means taking responsibility for the entire ecosystem, not just eliminating competitors. The hunting party fell silent, processing this perspective. It represented a fundamental challenge to guild doctrine. The idea that apex status might involve stewardship, rather than simply superior predatory capability, was entirely novel. As they continued along the trail, Dr. Reyes occasionally stopped to point out subtle signs that Zexlar and his team might otherwise have missed. Disturbed soil indicating burrowing animals. Bark scratches at specific heights, marking territorial boundaries. Distinctive bird calls, signaling the presence of humans. You read this environment fluently, Castia observed with professional appreciation. I've spent years developing those skills, Dr. Reyes acknowledged. But most humans couldn't identify half of what I'm showing you. We've largely separated ourselves from direct interaction with nature. Yet you claim apex status, Zexlar noted, still seeking to understand this paradox. Let me show you something, Dr. Reyes said, diverting from the main trail onto a narrower path. After several minutes of walking, they emerged into a small clearing. At its center was a depression in the ground, carefully concealed with local vegetation. A hunting pit, Kasdan identified immediately, his tactical experience recognizing the structure. Exactly, Dr. Reyes confirmed. A very basic trap. But variations of this design have been used by humans for thousands of years. This particular one was created for my research. I occasionally need to temporarily capture wolves for tagging and health assessment. Zexlar examined the structure with new interest. Tool-crafted compensation for physical limitations. Precisely. Dr. Reyes led them around the perimeter of the clearing. But it's more than just the trap itself. Notice how it's positioned, between these two rocky outcroppings, along a natural game trail. The entire landscape becomes part of the hunting strategy. As they continued their journey, Dr. Reyes revealed more examples of human ingenuity. Snares designed to capture small game, stone formations that functioned as blinds for observation, even a series of modified trees that created a natural funnel toward another research trap. These are primitive, Vilzor observed, perhaps with a touch of disdain. Of course, Dr. Reyes agreed readily. I'm showing you technologies that are thousands of years old, and simplified versions at that. But they illustrate a crucial point. Humans didn't become apex predators through physical evolution. We did it through tool use and environmental manipulation. The concept was beginning to take shape in Zexlar's understanding. Your species compensated for physical weakness through artificial means. And through something even more important, Dr. Reyes added, as they crested a ridge. She gestured toward the valley below, where a series of steep cliffs formed a natural bottleneck. Social cooperation. See that formation? Ancient human hunters would work in coordinated groups to drive herds of large prey animals toward those cliffs. No single human could take down a bison or mammoth alone. But together, using the landscape itself as a weapon, they could secure enough meat to feed an entire community. The tactical implications were not lost on Kasdan. Cooperative hunting to overcome individual limitations. Many species employ similar strategies. True, Dr. Reyes acknowledged. But humans took it further. We didn't just cooperate for individual hunts. We developed culture, the ability to pass knowledge from one generation to the next without having to relearn everything through direct experience. She led them to a rocky overhang where ancient markings were faintly visible on the stone surface. These are approximately 12,000 years old, hunting records, information storage outside the biological brain. Mineria examined the markings with intense interest. A primitive form of your digital information networks? Exactly the same principle. Just different technology, Dr. Reyes confirmed. Information sharing across time and space. That's the real secret to human dominance. Not our physical attributes, but our ability to accumulate and transmit knowledge. As the day progressed, Dr. Reyes continued to reveal aspects of human evolutionary strategy that challenged the Guild's fundamental assumptions. She showed them how humans had shaped the landscape through controlled burning to promote certain plant species, how they had redirected water through irrigation systems, how they had domesticated other species for food and labor. Your species remakes its environment rather than adapting to it, Zexlar observed as they approached what appeared to be a small structure in a clearing. Presumably, the research station Dr. Reyes had mentioned. That's a concise way of putting it, she agreed. Though in recent centuries, we've begun to recognize the limitations and dangers of that approach. The research station was a modest facility, a main building constructed of local materials with several smaller outbuildings. Solar collection devices were visible on the roof, and a small satellite communication array indicated connection to the broader human information network. "Welcome to my home away from home," Dr. Reyes said, leading them toward the main building. "It's not much, but it serves its purpose." Inside, the structure revealed a functional layout: research equipment, storage for supplies, a small living area. What immediately caught Zexlar's attention, however, was the wall covered in what appeared to be information displays, maps, charts, and images showing various aspects of the surrounding ecosystem. Dr. Reyes noticed his interest. "My current research project. I'm tracking wolfpack dynamics in relation to changing climate patterns." "You monitor other predator species systematically," Zexlar noted. "We monitor everything," she replied, activating a display screen that showed a global network of similar research stations. "This is just one node in a worldwide scientific infrastructure. At any given moment, thousands of researchers like me are observing, measuring, and analyzing every aspect of Earth's ecosystems." The scale of the monitoring network was impressive, even by Voluac standards. Zexlar began to appreciate the extent of human information gathering, a capability that easily compensated for their limited natural senses. "So," Dr. Reyes said, turning to face the hunting party directly, "now that you've seen some basic examples of how humans operate, let me ask, what exactly did you plan to do with this information? You mentioned a hunting guild. Were you planning to hunt humans?" The directness of the question created an uncomfortable silence. By guild standards, discussing hunting intentions with potential prey was deeply unorthodox. Yet this entire encounter had already deviated so far from standard protocol that Zexlar saw little reason to dissemble. "Our guild seeks to test ourselves against the apex predators of various worlds," he explained. "Your species presented a paradox: apparent apex status without natural weapons. We came to determine whether humans truly qualify as apex predators by guild standards." "And if we do?" Dr. Reyes pressed, her expression neutral, but her posture subtly more alert. "Then we would seek to acquire a specimen for study," Zexlar stated, choosing his words carefully. To his surprise, Dr. Reyes laughed, a sound that the translation matrix identified as indicating amusement rather than fear. "You came to Earth planning to capture humans for your collection, and yet here you are, following one unarmed human female into the woods, completely unaware of what you've gotten yourselves into." The statement sent an immediate ripple of tension through the hunting party. Kasdan shifted subtly into a defensive posture, while Vilzor's neural patterns showed heightened alert status. "Are you threatening us, Dr. Reyes?" Zexlar asked calmly. "Observing," she corrected, still appearing entirely at ease. "You're vastly technologically superior to me as individuals. You have weapons I can't even fully comprehend. Yet you've been completely outmaneuvered from the moment we met." "Explain," Zexlar demanded, his own tactical mind rapidly reassessing the situation. Dr. Reyes activated another display screen, which showed a satellite image of the surrounding forest. A series of blinking indicators represented active monitoring devices. "You've passed through 17 different automated sensor arrays since we met. Your images, biological readings, and movement patterns have been uploaded to a secure server and analyzed by both AI systems and human experts." She touched another control, bringing up communications logs. "The moment I confirmed you were extraterrestrial, emergency protocols were activated. Right now, this entire region is under observation by multiple government agencies. If anything happens to me, or if you attempt to capture any humans, the response would be significant." The implications were clear. What had appeared to be a simple encounter with a solitary human researcher had actually been a carefully managed first contact scenario. The hunting party had been under observation the entire time, their capabilities assessed, their intentions evaluated. "You knew what we were immediately," Zexlar realized. "I suspected," Dr. Reyes corrected. "There have been incidents before. Unexplained phenomena. But you're the first to reveal yourselves so directly. She turned to a storage unit and removed a small device, which she placed on a table between them. This is a direct communication link to the emergency response team. I should activate it now and let them know the situation has been resolved peacefully. Unless, of course, it hasn't. The moment hung in the air, a clear decision point. Zexlar could sense his team's readiness, their combat systems primed despite the apparent trap they found themselves in. They could likely overwhelm this single human before any response team arrived. Yet something held him back from giving the order. "We have misjudged your species," Zexlar acknowledged finally. "Guild doctrine has never encountered a case like humanity before." "Because you've been focused on the wrong metrics," Dr. Reyes suggested. "You equate apex status with natural weapons, claws, fangs, venom. But true dominance isn't about individual combat capability. It's about species-wide adaptability and environmental control." She activated yet another display. This one showing historical imagery, humans in various time periods, wielding increasingly sophisticated tools and weapons. "We started with rocks and sticks, progressed to bows and spears, then guns and bombs. Now we have weapons that could devastate entire continents." The progression was undeniable, a steady advancement of artificial capability that compensated for and ultimately far exceeded any natural evolutionary advantage. But here's what makes humans truly unique as apex predators, Dr. Reyes continued, her voice taking on a more solemn tone. "We're aware of our power. We make conscious choices about when and how to use it." The display shifted to show environmental restoration projects, reforested landscapes, recovered species populations, cleaned waterways. "We nearly destroyed our planet through unchecked exploitation," she explained. "But we're capable of recognizing our mistakes and changing course. We choose conservation over dominance when it serves the greater good." Zexlar found himself deeply affected by this perspective. In the Guild's thousands of cycles of hunting across hundreds of worlds, they had never encountered a species that voluntarily limited its predatory capacity for ethical reasons. "Your true evolutionary advantage is moral choice," he realized aloud. "Exactly," Dr. Reyes confirmed. "Any species can kill. Only a few can choose not to when they have the power to do so." The hunting party remained silent, processing the implications of this revelation. It represented not just a challenge to their mission parameters, but to the entire philosophical foundation of the Voluak Hunting Guild. After a period of internal deliberation, Zexlar reached a decision. With deliberate ceremonial significance, he disengaged his primary weapon systems and placed them on the table beside Dr. Reyes' communication device. "The Guild seeks to test itself against the greatest predators in the galaxy," he stated. "We have found one in humanity, not because of your killing capacity, but because you have transcended it. You have achieved what no natural evolution could provide, the ability to choose when not to be a predator." One by one, the other members of the hunting party followed their commander's example, disarming themselves in recognition of this profound realization. Dr. Reyes observed the gesture with evident relief. "Thank you, Commander. That's not how I expected this encounter to go." "Nor I," Zexlar admitted. "But the true purpose of the hunt is not the capture of prey, but the knowledge gained in the pursuit." He gestured toward the disarmed weapons. "We came seeking trophies for our collection. Instead, we have found a new understanding of what constitutes true evolutionary success." Dr. Reyes activated her communication device. "Base, this is Reyes. Situation stable. First contact proceeding peacefully. Request diplomatic protocol activation rather than security response." The response came immediately. "Understood. Doctor, diplomatic team en route to your location. ETA 30 minutes. Maintain current status." She turned back to the hunting party. "So, it seems we have a little time before the formal representatives arrive. Perhaps you'd like to explain more about your guild and its purpose. Cultural exchange seems more productive than specimen collection. And so, in the small research station nestled in Earth's wilderness, an unprecedented dialogue began. The first official exchange between humanity and the Voluak. As Zexlar shared the history of his species and the philosophy of the guild, he found himself repeatedly reconsidering fundamental assumptions that had guided their society for millennia. The arrival of the human diplomatic team expanded the conversation further. Unlike Dr. Reyes, they arrived with security personnel, evidence that humans understood the potential threat despite the peaceful turn of events. Yet, they approached the dialogue with the same curious, analytical mindset she had demonstrated. As discussions progressed into formal diplomatic exchange, Zexlar found himself drafting a report in his mind, one that would radically redefine the guild's understanding of predatory evolution. The humans' willingness to share knowledge, rather than respond with aggression, only reinforced his new perspective. That the highest form of evolutionary success was not the ability to dominate through force, but the wisdom to choose when force was unnecessary. When the time came for the hunting party to depart, they did so without the trophies they had come to collect. Instead, their vessel's databanks were filled with something far more valuable, a new understanding of what it truly meant to be an apex species in a complex ecosystem. As they prepared for orbital departure, Zexlar stood at the view screen, looking down at the blue-green world below. Earth would never be added to the guild's hunting territories. Instead, it would become something unprecedented in Voluak history, a partner in mutual learning and exchange. "We came seeking prey," Zexlar mused to his assembled team. "Instead, we found teachers." The vessel broke atmosphere, leaving Earth behind but carrying its most important lesson: that true evolutionary supremacy lay not in the perfection of natural weapons, but in the development of the wisdom to know when not to use them. In the orbital trophy hall of the Voluak station, one display would remain deliberately empty, a space marked not with a preserved specimen, but with a simple data terminal containing the knowledge shared by humanity. A reminder to all guild members that sometimes the most valuable trophy was not a conquest, but an insight. And on Earth, in a small research station in the wilderness, Dr. Eleanor Reyes continued her work, monitoring wolf packs, analyzing ecosystem dynamics, and occasionally glancing at the stars, wondering when their visitors might return not as hunters, but as allies in the greater understanding of life's endless adaptations across the cosmos.